Hey gorgeous, welcome to Soil and Margaritas 2025 edition. Oh my gosh, happy New Year's. This is the first video, which I hope is one of the many that will be included for this year. Fingers crossed for that. I just want to say it, if you are here, if you have been a follower of my channel, you are amazing. And if you are new because you found one of those random videos that I have been posting for the last 4 years, I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you like what you see, and I hope that maybe today is the day that you subscribe to the channel. I am currently working on a few projects for the 2025 garden season, and everything is going to be regarding the garden, obviously. There are some things that are going to be the same, some things are going to be changing, some things are going to be added. I cannot wait to show you all of the things that I have going on, but one of the things that I'm going to be doing new for this year, and hopefully I can actually stick to it, is I am going to be posting a video the first of the month, if not the first week of the month, with the things that I am going to be doing for that month. That way, if you are in zones 5, 6, maybe even 7, you can kind of get an idea of the things that maybe you should be doing in your own garden. And let me just preface that by saying the things that I do in my garden when it comes to timing are maybe different for some other people that are next door to me. They're also in my zone 6A, 6B area. So just because I'm doing something, it doesn't mean that you have to do it. But if you want to follow along, if you want to know when I'm starting my coleus, or if you want to know when I am pruning my hydrangea hedge, the first of the month or the first week of that month, you should have an idea for what's coming. The first thing that is going to be heavy for this month is seed starting. And I know some of you are thinking, wow, seed starting in January, isn't that like too early? Yes and no. Let me back up a little bit. Seed starting. If you have been thinking about growing seeds this year, maybe new seeds, maybe just starting plants from seeds in general, and you haven't ordered your seeds, this is the month, right now, today, you need to go and order those seeds. One, the varieties that are very, very popular may not be available at this time of the year, especially if you want to start in this season. And two, because everybody's ordering seeds right around this time, you might have companies that take 1-2 weeks before they ship their seeds. So get those done, order your seeds, and just be safe on that part. I started ordering seeds back in September from the seeds that I wanted to order. And yes, I know some people even order the seeds way earlier than that, but if you haven't, right now is the time to do it. And on that note of starting seeds, January is the best month for you to get organized on when you're starting those seeds, what special things you need to do to those seeds. Like, do they need light? Do they need dark? Do they need to be covered with soil? Do they need to be in a cooler room for getting them to germinate? All of those little details. Right now is the time for you to sit down, get yourself a journal. I ordered this from Amazon. It's like a nice thick cover where I'm going to be writing down all of the things that I need to do month by month. And why do I have the need to have this physical journal? Well, for two things. One, I am kind of old school that way. I love to just write down things as they come. If I am starting those seeds that month, I will make sure to add the special things that I need to do those seeds. If I need to soak them, if I need to put them in the freezer for a couple of days, anything like that, I like to write it down. And two, next year, when I am planning my 2026 year, I am going to be referring to this book, to this journal, and, just kind of maybe even just copy it, or maybe even take note. If I start seeds in February that maybe need a little bit longer time to germinate, or they're just so slow, I will make sure to add a note on that, and then next year I can just start them a couple of weeks earlier or even a month earlier. That is the way that I use all of my notes. That is the way that I use my garden journal. And that's actually, for myself, that is the way that I use my YouTube channel. Because I can just go back and I make sure that whenever I'm talking about seeds, if I'm giving you an update on those seeds, I make sure to say I started the seeds on this date. And it's mostly for myself because I want to know in future years, do I need to tweak the date for that or anything special like that. But if you don't have a YouTube channel, which many of you don't, having something physical is definitely the way to go. And on that note, for starting seeds, this month, January, I am going to be starting 1, possibly 2 sets of seeds. Most of those seeds are going to be full flower seeds. I am not going to start any vegetables. This is way too early for that. But this month, I am going to be starting flowers that can handle a little bit of the cold outside. So those seeds that I start this month will be transplanted maybe around the middle of March, maybe the beginning of March, depending on how they do and how my temperatures are doing outside during that month. And also, I am making note on that on my journal, on my March month that I have prepared. I have a thing where I will say, this is the month where I am going to be taking those seeds outside. So a garden journal, just rephrasing that. But yes, so this month I'm going to be studying cool flowers, and the main reason why I am switching a lot of these seed starting times is because this year I am going to be doing a roadside stand in front of my house for selling cut flowers, bouquets. And because of that, I have to change my mentality of when I am starting those cool flowers, because I do want to make sure that I have flowers blooming during most of the season. Before this year, my mentality was start the flowers and get them all outside the first week that I'm able to get all of my tomatoes, all of my peppers, all of my warm, loving plants outside. So it was 1 whole week of just planting, losing my mind when it comes to taking all those seedlings outside, and that was it. But selling flowers, selling cut flowers, will change that, meaning that I will have to start some of the cool loving plants earlier to take them outside earlier so that I can have blooms earlier. So if you are interested in doing that, leave me a comment here and I will love for you to just follow along. The next thing that I'm going to be working on this month in January is going to be winter sowing. And I feel a little bit icky about winter sowing, mostly because I have had okay semi-decent results in the past. Last year in 2023, I did not do any winter sowing. I have tried a different methods, different types of techniques per se, using different things to do the winter sowing. And the main reason why they haven't worked, in my opinion, is because we have had really warm winters. And I think that the main thing for that is that I started most of my winter sowing a little bit later, February, March. And I know that for a lot of you in the US, you live in zones where February and March, you are buried in the snow, you have really cold temperatures. And that, I think, used to be the case for us here in central Indiana, but not anymore. So I am really pushing, I'm really taking all of that winter sowing early this year. And I am also going to do it a little bit different. I am going to be following the technique that Tonya of Tonya with the Flowers does it. She basically just takes trays, either 10 by 10 or 10 by 20. I think she mostly uses 10 by 20. She fills them with potting mix, puts the seed there, and she puts them outside. She actually just puts them in the ground and she creates a mini hoop house or a caterpillar house, whatever you call them, of just PVC and some greenhouse plastic, and that's the protection that she gives them. She has great results, and I think she's in Tennessee, so she's not that far from me as far as zones go and winters. But I am hoping that this winter sowing for me does the trick. But also, I am not going to be relying on those winter sowing seeds that I try to make it. I am not going to be just putting all of my seeds outside and hoping that, that I get some. This is mostly going to be a test and see how they do and see if maybe next year I can then rely on maybe a couple of seeds just to be grown that way outside, because that will free my indoor space a lot. So fingers crossed for that. Also this month, January, I am going to be working on things that need to be removed. I am talking about perennials, shrubs, maybe even trees. This is definitely the month for me to transplant or just get rid of them. I am going to be doing an area of my garden that I know many of you love. I know it because every time I do a garden tour and whenever that thing is in bloom, whenever anything is blooming there, it just looks amazing. And yes, I am going to be getting rid of this area right here that I'm showing you right now, because while it looks amazing, while it still looks great, I mean, the shrubs and the perennials that I have here are doing amazing. It's just not doing it for me anymore. And to be honest, like I have said many times before, if an area of your garden is just not giving you that joy, just change it. Get rid of it. Just start over from the beginning and get something that you like. And if you have a small garden, like it is in my case, I live in an urban setting where the houses are literally next to each other. I don't have a lot of land. I have a small backyard. So for me to just have something that is just taking space and it's just not bringing me joy, it just doesn't make sense. So I am going to get rid of that area slowly because it's going to be quite different. It's going to look quite different. And it's a lot of shrubs, a lot of boxwoods, a lot of things that are already established there. And little by little this month, I am going to start with some things. I don't know where that fountain is going to be going. That's one of the questions that I have, one of the decisions that I have to make. I mean, I don't have to make this decision right now, but when I'm ready to move that fountain, which is not a light fountain, that thing is like 600 pounds. It's in 2 pieces, so it's not that bad. But when I'm ready to move that thing from there, it is definitely going to the spot where I have in mind. But I still have not made a decision on that. So I don't know. It's just fun. It's just fun. But if you have been thinking about moving shrubs or perennials or dividing those, this is definitely the month that you want to start doing that for your own garden. And on that note of adding or removing shrubs, this is the month right now. If you didn't do it in the fall, this is the month that you want to start working on your no-dig flower beds, whether you are extending a new flower bed or you're just making a new one and you have all of that grass that you don't know what you're going to do when it's time to remove it. The no-dig technique for adding a flower bed and getting rid of that grass organically and in the safest way is definitely one that you need to follow. And if you have no clue what that is, I am going to add a link to a video that I did where the only bed that I have right now is my no-dig flower bed that I call it. I started that way later in the year. And in reality, you're supposed to start a no-dig flower bed in the fall so that you can use it in the spring. However, being the procrastinator that I am, didn't go that well. So this year, I'm starting a little bit earlier. I really should have worked on that no-dig flower bed last year in the fall. But it is what it is. January, if you're thinking about adding no-dig flower beds, is definitely the month to get it done because you still have 4 or 5 months before you can use that bed. So that's a really good amount of months. For me, this is definitely the month that I'm going to be starting on those beds. I hope that I can show you video on that. I don't know how that's going to go, but those are the things that I have for this month. Working on my seed starting game, starting a set of cool flowers indoors, working on my winter sowing, removing or transplanting shrubs, getting rid of an area, starting to do a little makeover on that side, and working on the no-dig flower beds. That is a lot. That is definitely a lot to keep me busy this month. And hopefully, I get a couple of days this month where it's not too crazy cold. We have been getting a lot of rain here in central Indiana. So on one side, that's a good thing, but I am looking for that cold. If I am going to be starting winter sowing, I definitely need it to be, in the 20s, 30s and not the 50s that it is right now. So wish me luck on everything that I have to do. And hopefully, if you have been thinking about doing some of these things, hopefully this video gives you a little bit of a push that you need, because I know that many of you need it. Let's just work on this together. I hope that this year brings you and your gardens many blessings. Thank you for being here, and I will see you the next time. When I am pruning my hydrangea hedge, the first of the month, you should know what's coming. The first of the month.